The night butcher didn't just kill his victims, he tested the entire city. Who will be next? Chapter 1. A Shadow in the Alley. The night was quietly swallowing Chicago, and the wind stirred fallen leaves through the empty streets. Maria, a woman in her 40s, was walking home alone after leaving the grocery store. Suddenly, the echo of her footsteps disappeared. The next morning, neighbors discovered her handbag lying on the sidewalk, a smear of blood staining its handle. Detective John Marks stood over the scene, a strange feeling rising inside him. This isn't just a disappearance. Someone is testing the city. Something was moving in the corners, something no one had seen, but it had already left its mark. Chapter 2. Messages from the Darkness. A week later, a second victim disappeared in the same way. In the summer, small belongings of the victim were found, but they were strangely different. A sinister message. No one was moving quickly anymore, and all the residents began painting their doors in due course. Signs. Notice a strange pattern. All were damaged on specific nights. All were meticulously planned. A subtle tactic to attack its observers. Chapter 3. The Nighttime Mechanic. After surveillance and analysis, the police focused on David Pearson, a mechanic by day and a murderous shadow by night. The police installed hidden cameras and tracked his car and his nighttime shopping. Pearson wasn't just a deranged individual, he was a seasoned strategist. Every victim was part of a larger game, every move carefully calculated. Marks noticed something odd, a tiny trail, a trace anyone would notice that he always left near the crime scene. Chapter 4. The Confrontation. On Tuesday night, the team entered the darkened streets, their hearts pounding. Pearson was there, watching a narrow alley, moving calmly. When the police approached him, he didn't try to run. In the interrogation room, he began to recount his crimes with chilling composure. I tested them, watched them, and disappeared before anyone could touch me. Every move was calculated. The killer's cold voice sent shivers down Mark's spine. Every detail added to the sense of dread, as if the criminal mind were right in front of him. Chapter 5. An Unforgettable Shadow. The trial revealed everything. Pearson recounted each of his crimes without a shred of remorse. Psychiatric experts explained how his neglected and violent childhood had morphed into a murderous obsession. The sentence was death, but its impact remained etched in the neighborhoods of Chicago. Every darkened street now bore the reminder that evil could lurk behind an ordinary face, that the night concealed a ruthless killer. Even after the verdict, residents still felt shadows moving behind every closed door. Chapter 6. The Fracture. After David's arrest, the story did not end the way everyone expected. Inside the Chicago Police Department, Detective John Marks sat in front of the evidence board. Photographs, threads, movement maps. Something didn't make sense. The confirmed number of victims was 5, but David had confessed to 6 murders. Marks didn't speak immediately. He reread the reports. On one of the nights David mentioned, a traffic camera recording showed his car on the other side of the city. So, was he lying? Or was there someone else? In the holding cell, David Pearson sat calmly, staring at the floor. When Marks entered, David gave a faint smile. "I told you I don't work randomly." "You confessed to 6 murders." "Did I ever say I was always alone?" The last words hung in the air. Marks felt a chill run down his spine. Was there an accomplice? Or was the killer playing his final game? Chapter 7. The Other Face. The investigation began again. Marks reviewed every case, not with the eyes of a man searching for a killer, but with the eyes of someone searching for two different patterns. Then he saw it. 4 of the victims had been handled with surgical precision, but the last 2 showed slight inconsistencies. The angle of the wound was different. The placement of objects lacked the same exactness, as if 2 people had committed the crimes, but in strikingly similar styles. David's old phone records were reviewed. One name kept appearing, a former co-worker from the workshop. Quiet, unremarkable, no criminal record. More importantly, he had been near the scene of one of the murders without a clear explanation. When he was brought in for questioning, he seemed more nervous than he should have been. He wasn't a natural killer like David. He was afraid. During interrogation, he broke down. He confessed he hadn't killed anyone, but he knew. He said David used to talk about the game, about testing the city, about choosing who deserved to be watched. I thought he was joking. Then he started asking me to help him watch the streets, just watch. Marks understood the truth. David hadn't needed a partner to kill. He needed a witness, someone to believe in his brilliance. Evil doesn't always need accomplices. Sometimes it only needs an audience. Chapter 8. After the sentence. The death sentence was issued. The case was officially closed. But for Marks, it was never truly over. During his final prison visit, he sat across from David, separated by thick glass. "Why did you do all this?" A long silence followed. Then David answered calmly, "Because people live too comfortably. I just wanted to remind them that darkness exists." There was no anger in his voice, no madness, only cold conviction. After the execution was carried out, the city grew quiet. But Marks no longer trusted silence. Every dark street in Chicago carried a possibility. Every ordinary face could be hiding another story. One night, as Marks closed the case file for the last time, a small piece of paper slipped from inside. A thread. The same thread that had been left near the crime scenes. The blood froze in his veins. Was it merely preserved evidence, or a final message he had yet to understand? Slowly, he lifted his head toward his office window. Outside, the city was very quiet. Far too quiet. Chapter 9. The Truth That Was Never Written. Years after the case was closed, Detective John Marks retired quietly. The file of the night butcher was placed in the archives of the Chicago Police Department. The case was officially closed. The city healed. People forgot. But Marks never did. On a cold winter night, he sat alone in his small apartment, flipping through old papers. He wasn't searching for anything specific. He just felt that something was wrong. Then he saw it. An old photograph from the first crime scene. Maria. The handbag on the sidewalk. The small stain of blood. He zoomed in further. In the reflection of a nearby shop window, there was a shadow. A man standing at a distance. Not David. Marks felt his heart stop for a second. He went back to the other photos. In 3 different crime scenes, the same shadow appeared in the background. Someone watching. It wasn't the workshop co-worker. It wasn't a witness. It was someone who knew how to stay out of the frame, except for one single moment. Marks began reviewing the names of the old investigation team, patrol officers, forensic experts, security personnel who had arrived early at each crime scene. One name appeared every time. A young officer, always the first to arrive, always standing behind the yellow tape, always silent. Marks froze. Was David the only killer, or was there someone using him as a front? The next day, Marks tried to access that officer's records, but he discovered something strange. The man had resigned immediately after the sentencing, moved to another state. No new record, no violations, no trace. As if he had vanished once the game was over. Marks sat in his car outside the precinct, his hands trembling slightly for the first time in years. Was David merely a tool? Was there a greater mind testing the police themselves? He remembered David's final words in prison. "I don't work randomly." Maybe he wasn't only talking about the crimes. Maybe he meant the confessions too. That night, as Marks looked out over the quiet city from his window, his landline rang. Unknown number. He hesitated before answering. A calm voice, familiar, but deeper. "I think you're far too late, detective." The line went dead. It wasn't David's voice. It was someone else, someone who had never been tried. Marks slowly stood up and reopened the case file once more. Outside, the lights of Chicago shimmered peacefully. But this time, the silence wasn't comforting. The case was officially closed, but the night butcher may never have been just one man.